All right, everyone, we are back, and despite our best efforts, we had intended to start throwing performance parts at this, but life got in the way, weather got in the way, let's see, COVID, locust, you name it. Anyway, it's about a week later. We did gather some data for Brendan at Bren Tuning to help him with his mapping process during this time. The bike is exactly how it was before we continued it. Sorry, can't run them that long. With the exception of, we did go in and block off the pair, and then we also went in, we took the air out of the rear tire. The way it rolled in as tested, it had about 38 pounds of air pressure, and it had regular air. We took the air out, we replaced it with 100% nitrogen and inert gas. Look it up, means it doesn't swell up so much. And we dropped the tire pressure all the way down to about 30 PSI because we know from past experience that if we try to keep air in there and try to load test a supercharged Kawasaki, that we get melted tire thrown all over the back of the dyno room. So all we're doing is preparing to go on and put on the performance parts. But before we do that, we were just sort of curious. If you've already got your Derestriction flash from Bren Tuning and you've got the fuel tune with the stock exhaust, what happens if you put in a Sprint filter? Now, when we did it on Dan's bike, and that's the whole goal here, to get this bike exactly how Dan #1 had it before you picked it up. When we did it on Dan's bike, we didn't have much in the way of gains, and if you remember, it's because a high flow filter can't do its job when the ECU is saying, oh no, 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 and rolling off the power. So now we're not rolling off the power. We're gonna go ahead and do as we always do, make 3 base runs, see where we're at. We'll throw in a Sprint filter real quick, run it again with no other changes, and see what happens now that we can finally get up into those higher RPMs and higher power areas in the curve. So check it out, we'll do that right now. All right, that was pretty good with the exception of operator error. On the third pull here, you can see how it drops down. One of the things that's really strange about the H2SX and the ZH2, the rev limiter is so soft touch that it's really difficult to feel where you are in the RPM. And I'll do this every once in a while, and I'll just shut the gas off because I don't really know where I'm at. So I started to roll off on the gas. So we're just gonna take this out of the equation. My fault, all my fault. And then if we come over here and look, we've got 3 really nice consistent passes, 205, 208, 207. Now, why isn't it 210? It was just 210, oh no, what happened? Different day and 8 pounds less in the tire. If we wanna bump it up, roof and make it look all impressive, that's great. But for what we're wanting to do, we're wanting to get really nice consistent overlays here so we can actually test exactly what a product, each individual product does, not only when the product is added, but when the product is enhanced, tuned, whatever, and matched to the combination. So the quickest thing in the whole wide world here, Mike, I think you've got one of the, well, we got P08 F1-85.
F1-85.
Do we need to hold it up against the light? How can it filter? How can it filter? Where did I show you these things? These things are waterproof. Water can't get through it. Dirt can. But that's another video. All right, let's go. 2 hole screws. Yeah. This should be really interesting. Regardless of power, of course, so much easier. Oh, look at that. How many miles on this? 3,100?
3,400 now, I think.
3,400? Wow.
Somewhere around there.
Well, it's seen plenty of dirt and road grime and scuzz. We'll go ahead and stick this in. I believe that's the correct orientation. How right, Mike? Is it? Yeah.
Matches
Little
up.
room for your finger there. This will be the quickest back-to-back dyno run ever. All right, I adjusted the notes. Sprint filter is in. As you can tell, the bike built up quite a bit of heat. It's over here with its own fan on. But we will give it a shot, see what happens. I'll just go ahead and leave everything like it is so we can do a direct comparison. That's what I'm talking about. Now, at this power level, and if you get online, you'll hear Ninja H2 guys saying, you know, I picked up 10 horsepower, I picked up this many mile an hour. At this horsepower level, just throwing in a filter to get an additional 5 horsepower in a static application, and in a supercharged application like this, I don't exactly know how much the ram air helps, but I can tell you that we will see bigger gains on the racetrack, land speed racing, with a Sprint filter than we'll see on the dyno, because they flow so much better. And one of the things that we always get, do I have to remap? Do I have to remap? Well, check this out. These are basically direct overlays between the Sprint filter and the stock filter. And if you need to map something, you have a better eye than I do. These things really are the bomb. That's why we're selling piles of them. They work fantastic. All right, we've got that out of the way. What's the next logical step for your average home builder? I think we need to make some noise. Are we ready to make some noise? Let's get this thing. Get this off of here and make a little mechanical music. We'll do that right after this. Delays? What do you mean delays, Brock? Get our videos done. I mean this kind of delays. Flash flood. The truck literally got stuck in a flash flood and dunked an entire order of Sprint filters. The product's not harmed. The boxes have seen better days. So we just have to do a little bit of work. We'll get it done, and then we'll get back on making videos for your viewing enjoyment. We are back. Good afternoon. I could have said good morning because this morning, you know how we do it. We came right in and made 3 consecutive baseline runs. I'm not going to bore you with that. You just saw what they look like. But we do have better conditions today. So if you want to come up here and see, our 3 baseline runs from this morning were 213, 214, 214. I love consistency. So then what happened? We worked all day, worked on the bike, worked all day, worked on the bike, and we now have our beautiful Penta-Carbon exhaust on Dan's bike, the full system. We also installed a power commander. That's for the next step, but I want to point out here that the power commander has a 0 map in it, which means it's not affecting anything. It might as well not be there. Now, as I said, we're working with Bren Tuning right now. We did have to install a servo buddy, and we went ahead and put the O2 sensor back in the pipe because we were getting some codes. They're working on that right now. I'm sure that'll be all resolved by the time this flash is ready for the general public. So where are we? When we left yesterday and this morning, we had the Bren Tuning flash with a fuel tune for a completely stock exhaust. Even though we're not going to run it that way, we thought, just for the sake of consistency, we'll go ahead and test it with the Penta-Carbon just to see where we are, and then we'll get into actually tuning for the Penta-Carbon. But just for shits and giggles, let's see what we get. Penta-Carbon means extra earplugs. Yes, neighbors hate us, customers love us. Okay guys, we just flashed up a 219 horsepower run, but you'll notice there is a much bigger gap in the air-fuel ratio here. I'm not saying that that's too lean. What I am saying is the only reason we tested this with the stock exhaust map with fueling was for shits and giggles. I don't want to go tearing up Dan's bike, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put the non-fueled map back in, and then we're going to put our power commander map in to see where we're at before we actually start to tune. So that'll just take us a few moments here. We'll be right back. Okay everybody, I need for you to do what I just had to do. Shake it off. Clear your mind, because we just made changes that can be confusing if you don't understand the changes we made. Change number 1, we took the Bren Tuning stock exhaust map out of the ECU. That map was tuned for additional fuel. That's why we had nice results with the Sprint filter, even with the stock exhaust. That's why we had 219 horsepower with our full exhaust on there. But now, we were only doing that just to sort of see what was up. We know what's up. What's up now is it's time for us to remember that the fuel tuning has now been removed. This is a straight up, it's just like a stock ECU with no additional fueling, but instead of the throttle blades closing, the throttle blades stay open. So what does that do? Does that make the bike leaner, richer? Well, common sense says, well, Brock, just go ahead and put the map in that you made for the stock ECU. And as I was doing that, I was reminded of the trying to nail jello to a tree where we're mapping over here, we map over here, we get to here, it comes over there. Now, here, now, the throttle is going to actually stay open. Well, in order for us to make the most power, we're more than likely going to have to lean the bike down. Ah, Brock, wait, no, lean, you just said that was bad. Remember, it's because we have the stock map that is pig rich and falls over dramatically. It's super, super rich. So I'll go ahead and make one pass here just to sort of make sure everything's okay. And then I'm going to have to adjust this to give us the proper fuel at 100% throttle so we can actually see where we're at and what we've got. Won't take long, watch this. Guys, it's hot, it's late in the day, my head's a little scrambled. First couple runs, I pulled up the Power Commander map, but I never bothered to put it in the Power Commander, so I didn't have any mapping in there. So we got some miserable 194 horsepower results. Tried to do again with the other map, got 206. It just wasn't what we needed for this ECU flash. So I went in, I let the dyno tune it for 2 runs, 100% throttle. This is not a map. This is the beginning of a map, and we were able to bump the horsepower up to 222 horsepower, and this thing is boiling. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and call it a day, and I will start again tomorrow creating an entire map that will now allow the de-restricted ECU with no additional fuel, the Sprint filter, the Penta-Carbon, and anything else we have that's affecting the intake or exhaust performance. I think that's it right now. I can't really, I'm not thinking so clearly, but we'll go ahead and create a proper map so that when our customers plug in the Bren Tune and plug in our Power Commander with our mapping, they should see results like this. Well, they'll be better. This is just the beginning. So anyway, I will get with you the next time I am messing with this and show you a little bit more about what we're doing, making great gains. This thing's going to be a killer. I'm telling you, it's going to be. You can just forget about opening the throttle all the way in first gear, like probably even with the nanny controls on. But we'll address that when we get to play with them. I'll see you then.